So I'm quickly going to do this video to elaborate on my last video. And I'm going to ask you all to take a second. In the description is a link to the article. Please share it far and wide on every single platform. We need to hold the fake news to account for sharing and peddling this fake news story. In fact, I thought it was bad enough that they just ran this story and that they ignored us when we updated them and let them know that it wasn't true. Not even an ounce of it was true. Nothing about the story is true. But not only did they keep it online, and other publications have run with it as well, it turns out that the Daily Star Sunday is now running it as their lead story. Let's see if I can show it to you here. Oh, there we go. Let me just get it for you. Can you see? There we go. Oh, it's giving us it. There we go. Lead story, front cover, entire cover of the Daily Star Sunday. So they know the story's fake. So even if their excuse is that they got this story from someone on the inside who led them astray, we let them know it was fake. And they're still running it, not only online, but in print as their lead story, taking the entire front cover. But even if it was true, and the fact is, listen, if the story was true, I'd be the first, especially as his spokesman, to tell you about it. Because his safety inside is the most important thing right now for his survival for that 9.5 weeks or whatever it's going to turn out to be that he's locked up. But the fact is that he's been in isolation and he's safe for now. Isolation has its own problems. Mentally, we saw last time, physically and mentally, the kind of impact it had on Tommy Robinson. But for now, he's in isolation and there is no danger of other inmates attacking him this way. And we have to support the fact that at least the authorities in the jail are allowing him and protecting him in that way and not spreading fake news story. Because when it happens, if it does happen, and if they do put him with the rest of the general population and something like that happens, I need to tell you, and we need the story to be real and we need everybody to talk about it. And the fact is that the way that they've reported it, if it was real, is horrific. If you read the way that they've told this story, they've glorified the fact that some guy has punched out Tommy Robinson because he walked in. They're saying he strutted in like a celebrity, like he's the man, and that gave somebody the right, a criminal the right, to coward punch Tommy Robinson and knock him out. And they've painted a picture that he was left sprawling in the puddles in the shower. I want you to think about it for a second, because the left have lately, and the mainstream media, not just the left, this is the left, the right, everybody's doing it right now to Tommy Robinson. They tend to, excuse, even glorify violence when it comes to Tommy Robinson. But if you think about it the other way, I want you to picture this. Let's just say a criminal, some scumbag. Let's say one of the grooming gang rapists, one of those guys, the reason why Tommy Robinson is in jail. If one of those pedophiles who gang raped a young girl walked into jail and Tommy Robinson coward punched him in the shower, leaving the child rapist sprawling in the water as they described it, do you think that they would have the same tone? If you look at the social media of both the Daily Mirror and the Daily Star, or whatever it's called, the Daily Star Sunday, all their followers, or the majority of them, are congratulating this criminal who allegedly coward punched Tommy Robinson. Now, most of them don't realize it's fake news. I encourage you all to go to those social media platforms and share the truth. Share the article. Share the link to the article. Share this video. Just keep talking about it. Hold the fake news to account. Because the truth is, I don't care what side of politics you're on here, is if we've come to a point, and we have arrived at that point in history where we cannot believe a word our mainstream media tells us anymore. You just can't believe it. They have plastered a story that is 100% fiction. It is either somebody in the jail was pulling their leg, getting a quick, easy payday. But there is no excuse, because the fact is that may be excused the first few minutes of having the story online. But as journalists, you're meant to double check it with the jailer, you're supposed to check it with the justice system, who haven't commented on until now. They have actually given a no comment statement. So no one has corroborated this story. They've sold it as fact. Their source on the inside told them this. So somebody in there is either pulling their leg, or they've just made the story up because they know that nobody, not in the media, not in the state, nobody is going to challenge them when it comes to reporting on Tommy Robinson. So why would they do it? Why would the mainstream media either sell a story that they knew from the first moment was absolute fiction made up, or when they realized only a few minutes after it went online, when they were told by us that it was fake news, why would they keep pushing it? Why would they peddle it so far to put it on the front freaking cover? I have a few theories, and I think it might be a mix of each, a mix of all. It's clickbait, firstly. The bottom line is Tommy Robinson rates well. The fact is that any story they run on Tommy, if you just look at their social media, Daily Star Sunday, go look at their Twitter, for example, all their stories are sitting on about 10, 20, 30 likes. You got Tommy Robinson stories, thousands. But that doesn't explain why they have to take this angle of him getting knocked out. It would have the same effect if it wasn't that. You know what? They should be talking about today the fact that Julian Assange, another political prisoner, another journalist, was placed right above him and they had their first conversation. That could have been a story that would have done just as well. So the reasonings to me, from where I'm sitting and all the evidence is showing, is that it's far more sinister. They want to desensitize, and I said this in the last video, they want to desensitize the public into the idea, and they're probably also testing the waters, into the idea of Tommy being bashed or assassinated or anything in jail. They want it to become so normal, to normalize that kind of news, that when it happens, there's no mass outrage, because everybody will be, it's just again. So that is even, for me, why it is so important that when the fake news spread a false narrative, even one of danger, well, this story really should tell any of you that he's in danger in jail. And he's even in more danger than we thought, because the state would allow it to be, for him to be placed in a shower with the rest of the inmates. The fact that the media would run a story glorifying that kind of violence. But more than that, the problem here is that the mainstream media is celebrating it and encouraging violence against him. These kinds of stories are what I would consider incitement to violence. It tells anybody who's in that jail, or anyone that knows anyone in that jail, that if you go and attack Tommy Robinson like this, not only will we not come after you, we won't even come and condemn you like we should with any kind of violence with anyone. Unprovoked violence, that's not self-defense, should be condemned. But if you do that to Tommy Robinson, you'll be celebrated as a hero. You'll become notorious. They are inciting violence, trying to get people to do exactly that. Imagine being that one man. Imagine being that one man who the state hates. The state justifies violence against you. In fact, we saw it throughout Tommy's campaign. When anyone was violent against Tommy Robinson, the state didn't do a thing. In fact, we saw he was the first victim of milkshaking. They picked up the person who threw the milkshake and dropped him off at the train station. Whereas when we saw with Nigel Farage, he's already been in front of a judge. So we've seen the state make okay the violence. We saw the media at the time, and now we're seeing the media encouraging anyone who can get their hands on Tommy Robinson to get him. I ask you to just picture this for a second. Imagine you were that man, that the entire system was encouraging and inciting violence against you. And then they wonder why. How would you be? And then they wonder why, when Tommy Robinson goes to a football match and somebody threatens him and his wife is with him, they wonder why he jumps up so quickly to defend and straight into fighting stance and into defensive mode. Because look at it. Just look at it with a clear head. And I'm asking those of you who don't even like Tommy Robinson, please just read that article. Read the articles the mainstream media have put out today about this so-called story and just pretend it's real for a second. Pretend. Because it isn't. Not even 1 ounce of it is true. But pretend it's real. And look at the way that they've gone and reported this incident. And you tell me this. Do you blame Tommy for jumping up and defending himself all those times that the media have jumped at him as the thug? Even in the milkshaking incident. They painted him as the thug for defending himself against an attacker, an aggressor. The real story, like I said, today should have been about the fact that 2 journalists are locked up together. Julian Assange and Tommy Robinson. I'm going to remind you all that if you want to know the real details of what's happening with Tommy Robinson, just follow tr.news. The fake news have proven themselves time and time again. And this is just to a new level. In my opinion, looking at it, I believe that they've just concocted it themselves. But maybe somebody gave it to them from the inside for a couple of bucks. But once it was proven wrong, they didn't only not take it down, they ran it as their lead story on the front cover. We've come to a point that you can't trust a word they say. Not a word. So tr.news. You can check us out on Telegram, TR News, or my Telegram, my Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, on YouTube, on BigTude, on Instagram, everywhere there. You can find the real updates of what's happening to Tommy. And when there are media reports like this, as I did today, I jumped up and ran to find out what the truth is. Let me know your questions in the comments below, any updates, but please make sure to share the article I put in the description below. Everywhere you see them spreading that fake news story. Thanks, guys.